They tell us that we lost our tails, evolving up from little snails. I say it's all just wind and sails. Are we not men? No, we're Devo's first album. And in 1978, these guys in yellow hazmat suits released one of the strangest, smartest, and most influential debut albums of all time. But at first, almost everyone hated it. Move ahead! Today, we're digging into Devo's debut album, Are We Not Men? We Are Devo, and how it came out of the chaos of the Kent State shootings in 1970, why critics didn't get it, and how Devo got laughed at, and how it went from being laughed at to shaping the future of rock, punk, and even electronic music. If you thought Devo was just that quirky whip-it band, you're in for a treat. So let's rewind. It's 1970 in Kent, Ohio, on the campus of Kent State University. And America is tearing itself apart. At Kent State, in the summer of 1970, the National Guard opened fire on the unarmed student protesters. 4 students were killed, 4 dead in Ohio. That tragedy changed the life of 2 art students there at Kent State. Jerry Casale, who knew 2 of the people that were shot and killed, and Mark Mothersbaugh. Casale always says he went into Kent State as a hippie and came out convinced that humanity was regressing or de-evolving. And that idea, de-evolution, became the band's entire philosophy. Soon, Jerry and Mark pulled in Mark's brother, Bob Mothersbaugh, also known as Bob 1, and Jerry's brother, Bob, known as Bob 2, along with Alan Myers on the drums, who they used to call the human metronome. Together, they created something that no one had ever heard before. Part punk, part performance art, part Dada, part robotic funk. They weren't trying to be cool. They didn't just play the music. They staged an entire philosophy of the future. Now picture this. In the 70s, most bands were wearing denim, leather, and maybe some eyeliner. Devo showed up looking like disgruntled factory workers in matching jumpsuits, jerky dance moves, and later, those fabulous red Dome of Energy hats. When Are We Not Men dropped in August of 78, it was produced by none other than Brian Eno from Roxy Music and ambient music fame. You'd think that would have won the critics over, but no such luck. Rolling Stone basically dismissed it as nerd rock, and Robert Christgau, who's known as the Dean of American Rock Critics, grudgingly gave him a B grade. At the time, people didn't know if Devo was a joke, a cult, or a bunch of art school dropouts trying to ruin rock and roll. But here's the problem. The critics were completely missing the point. Devo was never trying to fit into the box of traditional rock music. They were actively smashing that box and setting it on fire. Just look at the track list. The album kicks off with Uncontrollable Urge, which basically sounds like a panic attack set to a pogo beat. Mothersbaugh starts the song off with yeah, 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 over these very quirky, robotic sounding guitars. Then they covered the Rolling Stones' I Can't Get No Satisfaction. Mick's original take of that song is all swagger and sexual frustration. Devo stripped it down into a twitchy, robotic rant that sounded like a huge machine in a factory breaking down. Jagger himself actually loved it. Jerry and Mark had to go to the record company offices to meet with Jagger to get his approval so they could release the song on their first album. And he listened to it, and he actually got up and started dancing to it. He thought it was great. At the time, though, critics thought it was blasphemy. But fast forward 40 some odd years, and it's now considered to be one of the most inventive covers ever recorded, stripping the Stones' swagger into something hilariously desperate. And then there are songs like Mongoloid and Jocko Homo. These weren't your typical punk rock anthems. They were sardonic, borderline uncomfortable commentaries on conformity, stupidity, and yes, human de-evolution. The chant, "Are we not men? We are Devo," became both a rallying cry and an inside joke. They were trolling society before trolling was even a thing. Then there's Shrivel Up, the closer, where Casale practically sneers over a minimalist groove, telling us all to fade away into mediocrity. Not exactly a "we are the champions" type groove, but that's Devo for you. The whole record plays like a satire of rock. It sets you up, it tears you down, and dares you to keep listening. And the key moment, while the critics rolled their eyes, other musicians were paying attention. David Bowie called Devo the band of the future. Neil Young was intrigued enough with them to cast them in a bizarre movie he made in 1982 called Human Highway. They were supposed to be nuclear garbage men. Kurt Cobain cited them as an influence. And you can hear their DNA in everyone from Talking Heads to Nine Inch Nails. And don't forget, Devo were pioneers of early rock videos. They made bizarre satirical films to go with their songs years before MTV even existed. By the time MTV launched in 1981, Devo was already built for it. They weren't just a band, they were a multimedia art project disguised as rock. So why does Are We Not Men matter? Because it predicted the future, the corporate conformity, the dumbed down culture, the way we all perform like robots online. Back in '78, people thought Devo was weird for saying that people were de-evolving. But now, with TikTok, doom scrolling, and half the internet sounding like bots, I'd say they called it. In the end, what critics called nerd music ended up shaping the next 4 decades of alternative culture. Not bad for 4 Ohio art students in matching jumpsuits. So next time someone around you just says Devo, "Oh, weren't they that Whip It band?" Point them back to this album. Lovely portrait of Chichi Rodriguez, the golfer on there. It's sharp, it's weird, it's uncomfortable, and it still sounds like the future. Are you familiar with this album? What are your favorite songs from it? What are your favorite Devo songs? Do you have a really bitchin' red Energy Dome hat like this one? Let us know in the comments. I'll have a bunch of great links for you in the description as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Duty now for the future.